Woo! Okay, we have made it. Let me get over here. We have made it. You've made it. We're on the last section here. I can't believe I had so much of this jammed into 2 hours, and now we have broken this out and got to bring it down into some bite-sized chunks so that you have a way to think about it. And the one thing that I wanted to introduce to you, and this is a homework, but this isn't anything that's due back to me, but this is a homework for you for your own reflection, is how do we look at that big picture? Now, the piece that I'm going to show you really is a piece that a lot of success coaches start with and working with their clients, because a lot of times you go, where do we begin? What do I do? It's like, well, what's the thing you know you're supposed to be doing, but you're not doing? And then everybody has that thing. It's like, oh, I should be trying to, I should be getting ready to make sales. Okay, then let's see what we need to do around that, right? But it has been said that without a vision, a people perish. And a dream with a vision without a goal is just a dream, right? And a goal without a vision is a nightmare. And so we've got to bring this down into some parameters, because it's so easy to go big and fantasize, but unless you can start chunking it down into that greater vision, and then let's backwards engineer it, then you're going to know what your steps are. You'll know where you need to make your adjustments, and that could just be no more than managing your expectations or shifting your perceptions. But along the way, you are standing at the top of the mountain, looking at that greater vision and commanding your life. And then you're getting the information from that vision and pulling it to you and breaking it out so that you'll know what the right steps are to take. Okay. You're creating that feeling state inside of you that is that match for that outer experience that you want to have, so that when it arrives, you say, yes, this is it. That's right for me. Or nope, you are not the match for me. And it's easy to say no to you and let it go. So we have covered so much, but let's look at this, because, we have our 3-month definite chief aim and that goal. And we're working in 3-month chunks because it's pretty easy to focus on some actions to get a result in a 3-month time. And it's amazing what you can actually accomplish in less time by focusing on specific actions. But I want to invite you to go out into the bigger picture of why you were working on that. Now, remember, our definite chief aim is the thing that you want to create at the end of 3 months that is a measurable result. You've made the commitment to what actions you're going to take, what that success would look like, right? But what we're stating for our parameters is, at the end of our 3 months together, I want to create a measurable result. I want to be able to look back on our time together and know that I've grown, I've learned something, and even though I might have met some challenges, it's been worth it. And I want to have enough skills and achieve this result so that I can look to the future in confidence. Okay. And right now, at the time of this recording, we're about halfway through, and we want to go through here. So when you thought about that 3-month goal, what's the bigger picture? Like this time next year, what do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to be standing? Okay. So go ahead and write that. And so if your success for a destination, you could say, you know what, I want to double my income, or I want to create an income of X amount of dollars. I want my house sold. I want to be traveling. I want my health to be at a certain level. Whatever that is. But for our group, we are focusing on one main thing. But what's interesting is we work on that one main thing, the rest of our life starts aligning to it. So then as you're thinking about that goal that you want to achieve in the next 12 months, what's a milestone that must be accomplished in 9 months? What's in 9 months? So at the 9-month mark, I want you to project yourself into the future and be going, you know what, at the 9-month mark, I should be at this point and I should be able to say, I'm close to the finish line. So, what milestone must be accomplished in 9 months, then in 6 months, in 3 months? And then we start really breaking it down. Whoops. We really start breaking it down. So if you could say in the next 30 days, in the next 3 months, then what do I have to accomplish in the next 30 days? And that's when it starts getting real. That's when the anxiety starts connecting in. Now, do you remember when I made this statement a million years ago or this morning? I don't remember which time it was. That very often our future success, we have that part of us disconnected from us. And it's not in our timeline. Well, conversely, we have a hard time projecting ourselves into the future. There's a famous experiment called the marshmallow experiment. And you've probably heard about this, where they brought in like kids that they were like age 5 or 6 years old. And when they came in, there were marshmallows sitting on their, and as the children sat down, they're like, "Ooh, goody, yum, marshmallows," right? And you and I would sit down and go, "Who left their marshmallow here?" Perspective. But the researchers told the children, "Oh, no, those were from before. We've got fresh ones that are coming in. Please wait for a little bit and we will bring you some fresh ones. And we'll be right back." And the adult left. And some of the children very nicely waited. And some of the children couldn't resist. They go, "You know, that marshmallow doesn't look bad to me. And if I go ahead and eat my marshmallow now, then I'll have one later too," right? They didn't want to wait. They wanted to grab it now. And what they found was that the children that were able to have delayed gratification were also the people they tracked these children for many years. These children were more likely to have savings account and have greater competency in working towards their long-term goals than the other children. Now, at first it sounds like, well, those bad children, those naughty, lazy, greedy children grabbing that marshmallow, right? But remember, we're talking about perception. We're talking about like levels of consciousness and awareness. And when we're in levels of consciousness, that causes us to act and react a certain way. If you come from a poverty mindset, if you come from lack and scarcity, you are used to grabbing what's right in front of you. And it's very hard to project yourself into the future and to think, well, in the future, I'm going to be hungry again in the future. Maybe I ought to save some of this. Maybe there's things I could do now that could assure that in the future I won't be hungry. But no, we get into that poverty thinking. And that goes back to not enough. And that's why people tend to grab and they focus on and they just do now. But then they're always in that now and they start jumping from thing to thing to thing. And you've got to be able to project your future success. You've got to be able to move yourself forwards and backwards in your timeline. So if you notice that you are experiencing, "I got to do it now or I'm going to die" kind of thing, that is very different than having a sense of urgency. That's operating instead from desperation. So you've got to start to learn and discern the difference in your feeling state and where it's coming from. And when you start working with time and planning, you're going to start tuning in to different parts of your own consciousness and your emotions. And what you want to do is you want to meet each one in the moment, however it is that whatever you're experiencing. So as you're going through this exercise that I'm taking you through, and you notice that suddenly you feel like you're judged or you're wrong, you're going to get punished, or you're starting to notice anxiety, or even if you get a little high and manic and you're feeling a little disassociated from reality, that's what we call, when we say meet yourself in the moment with the one command, meet yourself. Notice, like, hey, there's this part of me right now. I'm thinking about what do I need to do in this next 30 days or the next 7 days. And I get freaked out because suddenly I don't think there's enough time, or I feel confused. There's not enough to do. And so if you notice that you feel confused or any of these other non-productive emotions, don't judge yourself. Be present to yourself. Give yourself the gift of that moment. And when you are 100% present in that moment, in this Kairos time, because sometimes we think of Kairos as that golden, yummy opportunity, but what's being presented is the time, is the opportunity to heal and close. Ironically, my computer has decided that it's time to close down, so I've only got a few minutes. But what do you want to accomplish in the next 15, the next 7, and the next 24 hours? For this, spend some time on this and notice what comes up. If you meet any conflict, if you meet any upset, format a one command around it. If you need help with it, we will address it in our one-on-one sessions. So before my computer cuts out, I'm going to go ahead and end this session. And thank you so much for listening.